Are you confused about which type of campaigns you should be using for Google Ads to promote your business right now? Google is pushing really, really hard on its current power pack of combining demand gen with Performance Max and its newly minted AI Max. Whereas you've got Kevin on Reddit, who's been running Google Ads since 2007, that says that you should only be using search campaigns that are set out with single keyword ad groups using exact match targeting. So in this video, let's really bring it back to reality with a balanced view and really break down what campaign types you should be using to promote your business. Now, there's 7 different types of campaigns that you're likely to use for your business in 2025. Now, there are 10 different types of campaigns, but things like your hotel campaigns, your things to do campaigns, and also those smart campaigns are not really something that you're going to be using. You're really going to be playing in these campaigns of search, shopping, Performance Max, display, video, and demand gen. And if you've got an app, you would also potentially use an app campaign. And to get this framework right, you really need to know where these ads are appearing so that you can then really go through and make that decision for what campaign is going to be the best fit for your business. And if you stay around to this video, I'm actually going to be breaking down the framework that I would use that if I'm an e-commerce brand, a local service business, or a SaaS software company. But before we get there, let me just really clarify where these ads are going to be appearing. So let's just say you did a search for wireless microphone for iPhone. These ads would appear in 2 different places. Firstly, you've got your shopping feed ads through here. And these can only be used for people who have a product feed, so a store on Shopify or with WooCommerce. And then you've also got your search ads, which appear in through here. And these ad placements are controlled by either search campaigns, shopping campaigns, and also Performance Max campaigns. Whereas if you're going to do that same search on YouTube, your ads could appear in 3 different places. Firstly, these would be your in-feed placements where they appear in the feed of search results, or they also appear on your home screen, and you can see some ads in through here. Then obviously with YouTube, you also have ads that also appear in stream and then also in the Shorts network. And I do apologize, this is my kid's YouTube profile, so please don't judge me for the different videos you see on the home screen. And then finally, you've got your display campaigns, and you can see your ads appearing here in different websites in an image-based format. Or if you are running some different product feed ads that are doing remarketing, they can also appear in through here. So now that you know where these different types of placements can potentially appear, now you're going to go through these 5 questions to really break out and find out what campaign is right for you. Regardless of what type of campaign you are using for success, you do need to make sure that these campaigns are set up the right way. And Google has just updated some of the settings. So if you want to make sure that you're up to date with the latest best practices that we're seeing the best results for with our campaign setups, I want you to follow the link in the description below, and you can get access to my 6 different campaign setup guides, which walk you through how to set up your search, shopping, Performance Max, display, video, and demand gen campaigns. And you can access all those guides for free just by following the link in the description below. All right, so the first question you need to ask in order to get that answer of which campaign should you be using, it really needs to come down to what type of business you are. Now, I know there's more categories in this, but for the majority of business owners watching this video, they're going to fall into one of 3 categories. Local service providers, and that could be anything from your local plumber, electrician, all the way up to professional services like legal services, and also specialized health and beauty services. Then there's the e-commerce brands, which could be in any type of individual e-com brand niche. And then also there are your SaaS companies, and also within there are your online coaches and educational based businesses. So that is going to dictate a lot of where you start. Now, obviously, if you're an e-commerce brand, you're the only ones that are really going to be utilizing those shopping feed campaign types, whether that would be a shopping campaign or a Performance Max campaign. But for pretty much for all other businesses, you would also be using a search-based campaign. So e-com would use combined search and shopping. But for some SaaS companies or for businesses that have a really high level of education, so they need to really show the user what the benefits of their brand or explain their products or services, you may also want to lean into video. But as a starting point for the vast majority of businesses, it'll either be search or a combination of search and shopping, or a combination of search and video. So once you've answered that question of what business you are operating in, it really comes to that simple qualification of, are you selling a product or are you selling a service? What you're really looking at is the endpoint here of, are you wanting an online sale or are you wanting an online inquiry? So if it's a product, as I mentioned before, you're selling an e-commerce product, you're really gonna be playing in that search, shopping, and Performance Max. If you're a service, so you're wanting to drive online conversions, a lot of the time you'll very much start with search and display. display. And those display ads may even come up through a demand gen campaign. And if you're a SaaS company or you've got a high level of education that you need to promote, you can very often get into that search and video mold. Now, if you stick with me to the end, I will give you some further frameworks for some different options on how we structure these accounts, because the next important question, point number 3, is this your first Google Ads campaign? And the reason for why that's so important, because you do need to remember with some of these newer types of campaigns, especially Performance Max, to really understanding that this campaign works the best and was really designed to take what's converting in your account now and find more similar audiences, similar and related keywords that are converting. With the key functionality being that it does perform best when you've already got some conversion data inside of your account. If you're starting, and this is day one of you starting a Google Ads account, you'd very much be playing around in those search and shopping campaigns. Then number 4, what you really need to think about is you really need to think about your budget versus the traffic volume. So if you're in a really, really high expensive niche and you've got a limited budget, so let's just say you've only got a budget of $50 a day, but your CPC is around about that $4 to $5 mark, what you may need to do is you may need to also think about running some display ads or video ads, because those placements are generally cheaper, which you can then limit the amount of searches that you're targeting and really look to filter people down. So they first see your video or image-based ads, and then you retarget them with those search-based ads. And then finally, the 5th option you really need to be thinking about is, what is your end goal? So what do you want the user to do? Do you want them to buy your product online? Do you want them to give you a phone call? Or do you want them to fill out an inquiry form? And as promised, what we're going to do right now is let's jump into a screen share so I can break down 3 different frameworks that you could use so that you can piece together your own campaign structure for your business. So what we've got here is what I call my bottom-up funnel, and this is how you can outwork with different campaigns. So obviously you can start really targeting your bottom funnel with your search and shopping campaigns, middle of the funnel working in with your AI Max video or Performance Max campaigns. Then you've got your demand gen or your video display campaigns, and then you can also use your display, video, demand gen or shopping campaigns for remarketing. And let me just show you how this would potentially look for a local service business. And for a local service business, obviously because they don't have a shopping network, you're not going to be using any of these shopping feeds. And then also I find with a lot of local service businesses, you're very much going to be starting with your search campaigns, and then you may add in a remarketing campaign. If you do want to use Performance Max or AI Max, I would only use this in 2 scenarios. One, what we see when you've tapped out of your search-based campaign. So the way that you would look at this, you want to be looking at a metric called your search impression share. If you're getting good results, but your search impression share is still underneath 15%, you don't need to be looking out for Performance Max yet, because you're going to be getting your best results just by increasing your budget on your current search campaigns. The other thing I'd say with AI Max and Performance Max is I wouldn't go into these campaigns for a local service business unless you got to these 2 core key factors in place. Firstly, you have offline conversion tracking working, and secondly, your campaign also works with broad match targeting. If your search campaigns are only working with exact match keyword targeting, I would not move into these other ones until you get it working on broad match. While video and display is really, really important, for a lot of service-based businesses, you may not have the budget for this yet. So if that's the case, for a lot of service-based businesses, you can be operating in this type of mold where search is taking the vast majority of your budget, many times up to 90% of your budget. And then you may have some display and video campaigns, which you can even run through demand gen, which are really looking at remarketing and retargeting those people who have been to your website, but they haven't yet converted yet. But I would also say, as we dive further and further into AI generated results, for service-based businesses, adding in some video-based and image-based ads at this top of the funnel is a very, very wise thing to do. And if that was the case, once again, your search campaigns would be spending around about 80% of the budget, and then you would have 10% set for these 2 different areas. For your e-commerce, you're going to be using a lot more types of campaigns. And the reason for that is because you've got those live shopping feeds. So we know you're going to be starting with search and shopping. And then from there, generally what you would find in from here is that rather than doing a remarketing shopping feed ad, given that your demand gen allows you to add in a shopping feed, you might hold your remarketing video ads inside of your demand gen campaign, and then you also might add a display campaign with a shopping feed. Once again, as I said earlier, you want to really be focusing on search and shopping, and then looking to build out into other types of campaign types once you've got your conversion metrics in this search and shopping campaign. For an e-commerce brand, you would want that at least 3%. Obviously we want that higher, but that's a good starting point, and then you can build up from here. And a SaaS company would be fairly similar because they have a higher level of education, but they just won't have those shopping feed ads. Once again, starting with search and then building out as you see more success with your Google Ads accounts. Now, the one thing I do want to stress when it comes to Google Ads, especially if you're going to be using multiple campaigns, you want to remember that core foundation that you don't want to have multiple campaigns targeting the same keywords, to the same locations, to the same audiences. So you do want to make sure that you've got some really good segmentation, and there's a couple of options and a couple of ways that you can do that. And if you want to know more about that, I want you to go through and watch this video right here where I break down how you can create your own strategy for success with Google Ads in 2025. Hey, once again, thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. My name's Aaron Young from Define Digital Academy. And remember, if you want those campaign setup guides, follow the link in the description below. If you want to watch that extra video on how to put together your different types of campaigns in one structure, go watch this video right here. See ya.